Well, the left said it was racism, Islamophobia and xenophobia. Well, today, the resident of the Bell Hotel, Hadush Kebatu, 38 years old, was found guilty of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl and another woman in Epping just days after arriving here on a small boat. This disgusting piece of work, housed at the Bell Hotel, harassed a child, tried to kiss her, stroking her hair, and said he wanted to have a baby with her, even after she told him, "No, I'm 14. Now, we don't know how long he's going to get in prison yet, but I want to turn your attention to another case in the press. Illegal migrant Moffat Conophelia, aged 48, sexually assaulted a 17-year-old girl in Weymouth. Now, he was found guilty, but somehow, just somehow, managed to dodge prison time. He is an ex-resident of the Bibby Stockholm. He followed the 17-year-old uninvited and then proceeded to kiss her on the lips twice, then said he had never been so close to a white woman. He begged magistrates not to send him to jail as he needed to support his wife and children, stating, "I have never committed any offence in my own country. I respect the laws of the land." Yeah, well, you've already committed a crime in this country, haven't you, mate? To top it all off, he said, "The British are looking after me. Accommodation, food. I can give the whole lot." Well, that says a lot, doesn't it, about the state of our system. But this isn't a one-off. According to government figures obtained by the Centre for Migration Control, foreign nationals accounted for up to 34% of convictions for sexual assault on females in 2024, despite only being 10.9% of the population. Foreign nationals are convicted at a rate twice higher than the British citizens that make up this country for similar crimes. And in Oxford, an illegal migrant was convicted of raping a 20-year-old in a churchyard. In Wakefield, a Sudanese man was found guilty of strangling and attempting to rape a woman in a nightclub toilet. Overall, we've seen a 62% surge in migrant-related sex crimes over the last 4 years, outpacing these British nationals by over 20%. And these cases just keep piling up. And rightfully, you at home, the public, are sick of it all. This ruling, frankly, in my strong opinion, is yet another incentive for some illegal migrants who clearly have very bad intentions to come to this country and try and get away with sexual assault. Meanwhile, the government has claimed it's cracking down on the asylum system despite announcing new measures for asylum visas, including, get this, letting many of them come here and work and study. Now, it's clear to me the government is not listening to you, and our justice system is frankly, well, it's seemingly now complicit in incentivising people to come to this country because we are not only soft on crime, but we are very soft on illegal foreigners committing these crimes.
As a journalist, I always need to remember more in less time. And you know what I really hate? Taking notes. It wastes loads of time and you forget stuff. And that's where Plord comes in. This is the Plord Note, a sleek, pro-level AI note-taker that records and creates notes for you. Whether you're listening to a long podcast, stuck in a meeting, or on an important call, Plord captures everything at the tap of a button. Then it gives you a smart, structured summary with all of the key takeaways. It even recognises different speakers by their voice, and you can choose from bullet points, to-do lists, or even mind maps. Your data's safe too, with end-to-end encryption and global privacy compliance. And with Plord's built-in AI, you can search everything you've ever recorded just by asking a question. It's slim, magnetic, under 30 grams, lasts up to 60 days on standby, and over 1 million people are already using it. Hit the link in the description and use code GB10 for £10 off your Plord order. Save hours of time and never miss a detail again. Link in the description below.
Look, I want to get the thoughts of my panel, former Conservative MP Anna Firth, journalist Emily Sheffield, and former Labour advisor Matthew Larser. Thanks all for joining me this evening. It's always longer than I thought, that walk. Matthew, I'll start with you. Because, of course, we've heard the Epping case today. That's been quite a shocker because, of course, the government have intervened in this case. We've had, I think it's probably the light that sparks the whole country to start protesting migrant hotels across the country. how complicit is the Labour government in this? They're trying to close hotels, but they forced this hotel to stay open now. Women and children in that area are going to be terrified.
Well, they forced the hotel to stay open because at the moment the migrants have to go somewhere and there wasn't anywhere else for them to go. And I think it's better to have them in the hotel temporarily, and I hope that is temporarily, rather than wandering the streets or in some encampment, etc. I mean, I think the key thing on these sex offences committed by asylum seekers is the government is, for the first time, the Labour government is changing the rules so that anybody who is convicted of a crime that means they go on the sex offenders register will automatically be disqualified from seeking asylum. So their asylum claim will have a big no stamped on it if they end up on the sex offenders register, which we don't know yet because the Epping guy hasn't been sentenced whether or not they will qualify for that. But if he did, that's the bar. Now, maybe the bar needs to go lower than that, but at least that's a start, and it hasn't been done by any government at any time in the past.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Anna, of course, you weren't in the government, but you were a Tory MP, and I know you've been very critical of the way that was handled in the past. I mean, I gave some stats there. I mean, this is 20% higher than British nationals, two times higher, than British nationals in some cases. What is going on? How does the Labour government get on top of this? Because it seems to me that, we've got Yvette Cooper on one hand saying she's going to crack down on asylum seekers and we're going to stop having so many come into the country. On the other hand, she's announcing new visa programmes.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a few things to say there, Alex. In respect of these two cases that you have highlighted, it's absolutely cut and dried. They should both be deported and be deported almost instantly. In the Epping case, he's an Ethiopian. We don't have an official returns agreement with Ethiopia, but we do have an informal understanding. So if he gets a custodial sentence, he should be deported. In the case of the other one, just as bad, he comes from the Solomon Islands, where we do have a returns.
What's he doing here? What's he doing here? Solomon Islands. I mean, there's no war happening in the Solomon Islands, is there?
But Alex, the point here is that Starmer said in April that he was going to get tough on this. That no one who commits an offence over here should get any sort of asylum status. So this is a test. The government can deport these two. Are they going to? Have they got the stomach for it? I suspect they haven't.
Yeah, Emily, look, I think many people are up and down the country were quite furious about this smear they've been constantly called, this far-right smear. Well, it seems to me the people of Epping have been vindicted, at least, by this case. They've shown that they weren't wrong. They've come to the forefront of this whole crisis in this country. Should they be called far-right? Do you think the Prime Minister should apologise? Do you think the other party leaders should get involved and say to the government, what are you doing, infuriating people up and down the country?
No, I don't. I think it's a very easy tag to label everyone as far-right. There are far-right elements in some of this. They should not be ignored. But, a great deal of people at Epping were local mothers, fathers, and it's completely wrong for anyone to label them far-right. They wanted the safety of their own children and the safety for themselves. But to go back, I think we need to take a step back. We need to stop people coming here in the first place. And that, I'm afraid, is becoming increasingly clear. We have to either take far tougher measures here, or we need to pull out or rewrite the 1951 Refugee Convention, because I want to go back to the guy who's here from the Solomon Islands. I find it very hard to understand why someone would want to can claim asylum from the Solomon Islands. It's got terrible poverty, but I can't really. He was part of a football team.
Yeah, he seemed to work for the national government. He wasn't being persecuted by the sound of it.
Persecution, because at the moment it stands. It's so loosely interpreted here that anyone can pitch up on our shore. And by the way, there are a huge amount of students coming here on perfectly legitimate visas. And this, by the way, is a far bigger problem than people arriving in boats. And then while they are here, claiming asylum.
Yeah, we are going to stop that. The government is going to stop that.
We are being taken for fools. We have to look back at what we signed up to in the 1951 Refugee Convention a very long time ago. Everything has completely changed. It's far easier to reach this country. And it either needs to be written, but at the same time, we must look at countries like Denmark, who have come up with incredibly tough measures, and they have a centre-left coalition there at the moment, and they haven't been frightened to put. We have to stop the draw for bringing people here in the first place.
Yeah, Matthew, I want to go back to this point because do you think the Epping residents have been vindicated? Do you think that they've now been proven right? They were right to have those protests outside that hotel. There was someone dangerous living there. There, women and children there were under threat. Of course, they've been attacked by the left in the media consistently. Now we've got Ellie Goulding, I think, a national superstar, coming out and saying she's embarrassed to be English because she's seen these mothers and protesting up and down the country. What does that say about the state of the left in this?
Well, I haven't heard her comments, but I mean, I think you're absolutely right that there were a lot of legitimate protesters, local people, particularly women and their daughters who were concerned about their safety, protesting, which was legitimate. There clearly were far-right elements and just plain thuggish elements because, protesters... Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, no, there were thuggish elements of all descriptions and none, because I don't think it does anybody a favour to be hitting a copper or climbing on a police van,
Totally right.
which is obviously not what the mums were doing. So yes to peaceful protests, and absolutely no to thuggery, whatever people try and label it as.
But Yvette Cooper had a choice, just as it's a choice whether we use asylum hotels, and I don't think we should be using asylum hotels. I think we should have deportation camps. I think we should go back to accommodation barges. Just as that's a choice, it was also a choice for this government to appeal the decision. The High Court judge, in my opinion, got it right. That was not the right place for those migrants to be, and they should have been moved. Yvette Cooper did not have to appeal that decision. That was her choice.
Well, they had to go somewhere while they were there, Anna.
No. They could go to an army barracks somewhere. They could go to another place. That particular hotel, right next to a primary school,
I think it will be closed very quickly.
Anna, I broadly agree with you, but I'm really pleased. I heard it in the car coming up. I hope it's the case that actually this case has now got leave to go to the Supreme Court. It'd be very interesting to see if they back the local people or whether
I hope it's closed before it gets there. But I mean, and one of the problems is James Cleverly, who's just been brought back by Kemi Badenoch into the shadow cabinet, campaigned against the use of military bases in his own constituency to house asylum seekers. Everybody says we want them to do this.
Hang on, because I was actually in the Commons at that point, and the Bell Hotel was down on the list. Jenrick and Cleverly ordered that hotel.
No, I don't know about closing that. Literally, James. That's not what I said. James Cleverly. I didn't know about that. James Cleverly has campaigned and is campaigning against the use of ex-military installations, barracks in his constituency to be used to house asylum seekers.
Maybe, but that doesn't mean that they're not the right place to be used.
It does if everybody keeps doing that.
I mean, just take the Bibi Stockholm, which that had Legionnaire's disease. We don't obviously
and cost a fortune.
We obviously don't want. But that barge was used in Germany for 4 years for asylum.
We didn't stop it. It was already stopped.
It was used by Petrofac for British workers. This is typical socialism. Something that's good enough for UK workers.
We didn't stop it.
It's not good enough for.
It was socialism in the government you were part of.
You're still against it, though. You're still against it, Matthew.
Hang on, one at a time. Emily, your thoughts? Because I do think Matthew has a point. I mean, Kemi Badenoch was trying to force the hand of the government by putting these legal injunctions into up and down the country to our councillors. But where were they all going to go? I think they were going to go to HMOs. And I think that's way worse.
I think that is way worse. And I come back to the point I just made. We have to stop migrants coming here in the first place. Because once they're here in their vast numbers, we do not have anywhere to put them. That is the reality.
Or a system that can process them efficiently.
And to stop them coming, you have to have a deterrent. And the Conservatives were in the process of putting in place a big deterrent, which would have been the Rwanda scheme. And it was actually showing some signs of working. And Keir Starmer was completely wrong.
I don't want to trot out the line.
Yes, here we go. It cost £700 million.
I did, and we still haven't paid the bill. Apparently, we still owe the money.
The cost of 2 weeks of people in asylum hotels.
Matthew, and I've got to stop you both there because, I mean, listen, the British people are frustrated. Whatever we can do to end the hotels, make sure they don't end up in HMOs, I think is a win if the government can manage it. But I don't know if I'm holding my breath on that one.